Hello, hello.
Hey, hey! Happy New Year from your local librarians on ISBN-Depth. January is a restful month for us here at the library, huh, Sam?
Yes.
Like the winter, we have to
Have a fallow season.
follow season. I just want to say fall season. It's not fall anymore. A fallow season to replenish our energy and plan for the coming year. Rest is just as important as resolutions. This month, we decided to sit with the best-selling books in the year of our birth. But first, housekeeping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sorry for writing such a long. Deb's gonna do a lot of the announcements. And it's the big ones, and I'm so sorry. I didn't think of this when I was typing.
I think it's planned.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's planned. Is that where you were like, I'll just put in 2 cents?
Premeditated. No, I gave her the heavy announcements because I'll probably yap for forever on my book. So, anyway, closings. Monday, January 20th, we're gonna be closed for MLK Day.
On Friday, January 31st, we're closing for staff training.
Which was news to me when I was writing this. I was like, oh, we have a staff training day.
Surprise!
Surprise! And then we have a Fine Wave drive going all throughout January. So it's going to be after school snack themed. So one box or package of individually wrapped snacks. So goldfish or crackers and things like that. You can bring more if you want to, but at least one, and it'll waive your late fees. It doesn't count for books that have been lost or damaged, though, but all your late fees, it'll be covered. So,
All right, and KFL, Saturday, February 1st, it's Love Your Closet Clothing Swap. Starting the week before, bring your gently used, clean adult clothing to the circulation desk at KFL. You'll receive tokens to swap clothes with. And on Saturday, shop 10 to 1. You'll be able to shop with tokens, and then from 1 to 2, anyone can shop without tokens.
and remember, this one is the adult one.
Mhm,
The kids have theirs right at the very beginning of August before school starts. So, this one's primarily towards adults. So, if you've got kids' clothes, save them for a few more months. And then Saturday, January 10th, from 10 to 11:30, we're going to have bingo. At KFL up in the makerspace. It's a Kodak fundraiser, so each card is $1, and the winners get they said useful prizes. They didn't say exactly what they were, but useful around the house items and stuff. But yeah, we've not had a lot. I think we had one person turn out so far for bingo, because we usually have Spanish bingo during the month, and Ari's got a pretty good group that comes to that, but this one's new, so it's kind of getting off on its feet. We just got to spread the word hey, we've got bingo, so tell your friends that we've got bingo on Saturday, January 10th.
Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday, from 10 to 11:30, so you can come play bingo and then go get you a nice lunch at the senior center.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, and then at Kodak, Monday, January 27th is Bad Art Night fundraiser. It's $10 per person to claim your spot, where you will be granted oodles of supplies and time to craft the absolute worst piece of art you can imagine. Worst, not the best, the worst.
It's Bad Art Night.
Yes. The art will be displayed, and the public will vote for their dollar bills on the best
Trasher piece.
trasher piece. I want to say trashiest piece, and be crowned the winner. All proceeds will benefit the Gilreath Family Kodak Branch Library Building Fund.
So oodles was not my word. That was Meredith.
Oh, okay.
I was like, hey, can
You
you
just threw me off. I'm like, oodles.
oodles? So you're like, Sam doesn't use the word oodles.
No.
That was Meredith, and I thought it was a fun word, so I stuck it in there.
Okay.
Trasherpiece though
Trasherpiece.
was my creation, because I was like, a masterpiece, but it's with trash, so it's a
You can't confuse
trasherpiece.
me with words, Sam. I don't
I
speak
did-
well.
I didn't know you were gonna be reading it when I wrote it.
That's okay.
So anyway, yeah. So vote with your dollar bills. And then, do you want me to do the book review first, or do you want to launch into your book review?
You go first. I've said too much.
Because on the script, it's Deb next. Because I thought I was going to be doing the introduction, and it ended up being Deb. So, yeah. All right. So, we had a couple contenders. So what I did, I just went to Goodreads, and they've got a list of you'd be bestsellers in the year, I put 1996 because it's my birth year. Um, and I went through the list and saw what was interesting. There was stuff I already read that I didn't realize was on there, like Game of Thrones. The first Game of Thrones came out apparently in '96, and Angela's Ashes came out, which I've read that one, which is I read that one when I was in Ireland. Someone recommended it to me because it was by an Irish author, and I read it and I was like, no, not for me. But I did read it, and then kept going because I was like, there's not really anything like that looks great. And then I came across this book called Palestine. It's a graphic novel by Joe Sacco. So let me pull up my notes on it. So the reason it didn't actually come out like completely in '96. So what had happened was it was a two-part. The two-part collection came out in 1996. Up until then, it had been bound in like two like collected issues. So there's Palestine, a Nation Occupied, was the first one they bound it into, collecting Palestine 1 through 5, and then they had Palestine in the Gaza Strip collecting 6 through 9. So up to this point, they were sort of like individual comics that they'd bound into twos. And so it won the American Book Award in '96. And then in 2001, they compiled it into a one-volume series. I can't remember. They might have put out like another reprint edition with some extra stuff, but yeah, so technically I was reading the 2001 edition, but I picked it because it was on the 1996 list. And of course it was kind of pertinent with what's going on now in the Middle East with the Israel-Gaza-Hamas conflict going on. So I just kind of, and the conflict's been going on for years and years and years. And this, it's a good, like, I'm not saying good as in a happy time. It's a good as in it's informative, as it's kind of deep. It's like, it's journalism in graphic novel form, and like Joe Sacco doesn't like tell you what's like right or wrong. Like he has his little quips of like, you see a little bit of hypocrisy here, but like, and he's not even like a great guy in his own comic that he's taking part in. Like he has his own moments. He's like, yeah, that was not great of me then, or he'll like kind of reflect back because he went and visited Israel, and he wanted to learn the Palestinian experience. He wanted to learn about the question of like the two-state thing and what people thought about it and what Palestinians were going through. And this was right after the and forgive me if I say this wrong, the Intifada, which is one of two uprisings that happened with Palestinians against Israel. And this first one was like in the late 80s to early 90s is when this lasted, and that's he came in right after like that had happened. So they were dealing with like harsh military repercussions and things like that, and so it's bleak, I'm not gonna lie, but you also kind of get the like he's going and he's like, tell me about your beatings, tell me about your torturing, tell me in detail, like I want to know. And it was one of these things like, because that's the stuff that sort of captures our attention, like the worse it is, like the more we want to read it. But at the same time, like journalists have been going to Palestine and Gaza and for years and years and years, and their stories have been told over and over and over again, and it really doesn't get that much media attention. Honestly, like before the whole like blow up with like Israel and Palestine, like not this past October, but the October before, I never thought about Palestinians, and I guess that was just sort of like an American-centric isolationist sort of like bliss, like
that. And we're also pretty young,
Well, that we're like, I wouldn't even say it's had to do with because our politics are mixed up heavily in their politics. That's not the thing. But they're not neighbors.
Yeah.
They're not Canada or anything. So no, we can kind of go about and live our lives, and even people in Israel right next to it go on, and he has a little like issue about that issue, not like problem, like issue as in like number issue in there about that. But it's just like I never really had thought about it much, and like I was sympathetic, but then there's times too when the Palestinians question is like, what good is your journalism gonna do? Like you're sympathetic, but what good are words? Like where are the actions? What do Americans think about these international laws that are passed? These, and I didn't know any of it, like and I'm sure a lot of Americans who read it then and who would read it now are also like, oh, I didn't know that. He does a pretty good job explaining most things. I would have liked a map. I think I would have liked to see a map. I know I can Google it, but like this coming out in like the late 90s, early 2000s, like not everybody had the internet. So yeah, I think I would have liked a map. And a little, because like he talks about the intifada like the whole time, but you don't get an explanation to what had happened until you got to the end. And I guess maybe because it was current politics at the time, people would have known maybe through the news and stuff, but like I didn't. So but like I don't know. There's a lot of heart wrenching stuff and like. People from Palestine can't get jobs in Israel because Israel wouldn't give them permits for it. So then they can only make money off like the olive trees. But then the Israel people will go through and then they'll cut down all of their olive trees. And then they're like, you know, or a kid throws a rock and the kid gets shot
Mm-hmm.
and killed for throwing a rock. Um, so and of course like you have the settler movement, which are these are people like in Israel moving out into claiming Palestinian land, and there's like things like the Israel government won't give permits to Palestinians to rebuild or do any of that, but then they'll throw money for people to settle.
Mm.
And so there's like you can see where a lot of the anger is coming from, but you can also like the people are very powerless, sort of to they do what they can, but they really like they're kind of just like they sit around, they have tea, and they talk about their suffering. Like that's a reoccurring thing there. So like I said, it was a hard read, but like I'm glad I read it,
Yeah.
and I do feel like I learned stuff. And then what I don't understand, I do want to like look it up. So I wish I probably would have read this sooner, but at least I read it now,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd like recommend it. Sort of, it's like Mouse. It's one of those. It's a graphic novel that's like not not for funsies. You're not really. I'm not saying like graphic novels don't have a message or anything fictionalized, but like this isn't fictional, and so yeah, it's like a nonfiction graphic novel, I guess, which I don't think I've really read any of those that I can think
Yeah.
of. So
Yeah, it's unusual, but it's refreshing how unusual it is.
yeah, I wonder if so this book when the Hamas thing started back up October ago, like the October before last, I think the book went out of. I don't know if the book went out of print, but they definitely ran out. I think they did reprints, so I wonder if we could like buy it in a bookstore now because it's definitely like still pertinent if you sort of
Mm-hmm.
want to like understand what's going on in the Middle East, or at least have like a perspective that's not like just Israel's perspective, which Joe Sacco talks about. He's like, I grew up with the Israel narrative the whole time. Like I've never learned anything about Palestinians. If I did, it's like, they're dirty, they're Muslims, and they're villains. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like recommend. Yeah, recommend. At least if anything, just to think about how there's no easy answers to anything and how
Yeah.
people treat each other, and not to say like they were all like very hospitable, but then there's stuff like in the Muslim religion like I might not agree with. Like he does have a section about women with hijabs and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and he didn't get into super in depth. He did get some of their opinions and wrote them down and whatnot, but like I guess he is a man and that wasn't his like main thing. But he did talk about like the feminism movement going on with the oppression resistance, and they're like, yeah, you can't really have like we try, but you can't really have both. Like it's like okay, if we get a state, then what's going to happen to the women, and we got to like let these women know they can be solitary or not solitary, independent and
Mm-hmm.
take care of themselves and things. But uh a lot of them don't see themselves as like that. They like see that like a man should take care of them or they should be subservient, and it's just sort of like a cultural and religious mindset that they've kind of got to work through. And so sometimes you'll come across that. Like there was a story where uh there was a pair that were adulterers, and the family murdered their daughter because she because in the they were strict following the religious law, and in the strict religious following the law, you kill adulterers. So they
Yeah.
killed her, and they were trying to kill the other guy, but he had like Israeli backup. So, but that was like a legal case that someone was going against, and they were like, yeah, we're trying not to get it tried as military law because it's really a religious thing. And I was, there's like things you don't agree with, but you can still see the humanity in the people,
Yeah.
and like they constantly give him food and they gave him tea and like even tried to give him the clothes off their back, and you're thinking like you don't have much, and yet you're going out of this way to be hospitable, and like and they were like tell our story, let people see our humanity, like it's just it's like heartbreaking at times and frustrating at others, and people are complex, and
Things aren't always so black and white.
Yeah, like they're So anyway, that's enough about my ranting on the Palestinian by Joe Sacco, but I recommend it. So
Yeah, that seems pretty good though.
yeah, no, it was good. I think I'd read it over the week. I'd read a few pages at night and finished it up this morning. So
Nice. Well, mine's was on a very different genre. Mine was actually I had a few options too for 1995. Evidently, how funny, Wicked, the book came out in 95. Couldn't get a hold of that one, of course.
because the musicals just came out.
Yes. So that one is all booked up, even on Libby. Like, I couldn't get anywhere. What was it? Practical Magic came out in 95. Jurassic Park 2, I didn't realize they do books until I looked at it. And the book number 2 came out. And I'm like, no, I want to read book number 1 before I dive into number 2. Because I might get lost.
I think we still have those on the shelves because I think I've shelved those before. And I went,
Yeah.
Jurassic Park has a book series.
Yeah, did not know that.
Yeah.
So I went with The Rainmaker by John Grisham. I think that's how you pronounce
Grisham?
his name. Yes.
Grisham. John Grisham.
Yes. And it was a genre book I don't really read. Actually, I think this is the first time I ever read it. And his books are mainly about like a fiction lawyer. And this one was really good. It really surprised me. Usually it takes me a few chapters for me to get synced into a book. This one was like on the first page.
I know you were giggling at
Yes.
it like one day, and I was like, "What are you giggling at?" And she like read me a passage or two, and I go, "Okay, that's kind of funny." Yeah.
Yes, it has like this just this wit to it. I love his style of writing. It's just really just easygoing. It's never dull. I may have come across like a few paragraphs where I kind of zoned out, but overall it was very like just fun, and I just wanted to like keep reading. I had to force myself to stop reading a few times so I could go to bed. But it was just really good. It was about a young man who just finished college. Actually, when he started, he's about to finish college. And this takes place up in Memphis, Tennessee. And he's trying to like get a job to be a lawyer, and no one's hiring because everyone's like, all the lawyers are out there. There's really no job openings. And he comes across a older couple who has 2 sons, and one of them is extremely sick. He has leukemia, and the health insurance that they have won't provide for his treatment. So now they're suing or they want to sue the company. And it turns out to be like this whole scandalous fraud of the company. And it's just really cool. It kind of has some lines of Legally Blonde, so I think they got some inspiration from the book of like someone who is looked down upon, doesn't know what they're doing, has never been a lawyer before, is all of a sudden a lawyer now and trying to win like a big case and trying to prove themselves. They also mention, so there's one thing I don't really care for is his love life. So it has a little bit of trigger warning because his love life, the love interest, is abused. So she's married. So he's after a married woman, and she's heavily abused. And I'm like, okay, first off, she's married, but she needs a friend, someone like a support group, not another love interest. Like, she needs to get out of this situation and find herself again and get help, not let's put in another love interest and he's gonna save the day. I didn't care for that part, but other than that, it was really good. And I loved how they used like things, especially like it's like I said, it takes place in Memphis, so it makes it feel like it's real. Like, there's times I wanted to check my phone to see, like, oh my gosh, did this actually happen? I'm like, no, it's just a fiction story. But I love the perspective of, you get to see it through the main character's eyes, and you get to hear his thoughts and everything. So it's like what he's going through, how he feels, and it's just so good how it's focused on that.
So was it The Rainmaker? Is it like one self-contained book, like the whole story is self-contained in one novel, or is it like part of a series?
No, it's just one book. It's not part of a series, but they did make a movie, so I'm getting the movie from Seymour. check that out hopefully on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited to see it. And it has Matt Damon plays the main character.
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon. 90s heartthrob.
Yeah. I was gonna say, so like John Grisham's one of those like popular authors. Like
Mhm.
people read from him constantly. He's like some of the big ones. Maybe not as big as Patterson, but he's
Yeah.
like he's there.
Yeah. He is.
Would you read any other like John Grisham books after this?
I would actually, because so far, like for this book, I just love how he writes it. I love his humor and his wit in it, and his writing style is, I don't know how else to describe it besides being like it's just easy and fun.
Mhm.
Like, he's very descriptive on certain things, and he just makes it feel like it's real. Like
Mhm.
these are real. He even mentions like they passed by a Blockbuster, they passed by like a
Rip.
Radio Shack, and I'm like,
Rip.
I kept telling my husband, I'm like, that is unfortunate, but I love it. So it makes it feel like you are there, like this really happened. So I would love to like get his other books a chance.
Mhm.
I don't know how much of his I would read because typically all of his books is about a lawyer
Mhm.
and being a lawyer. So I don't know if after a while it start like,
It's kind of boring.
I'd be
Yeah.
like, okay, it's the same book over. But it was really refreshing. It's not usually my style of reading,
Mhm.
but I'm glad I did, and it's just new and refreshing for me.
Mhm.
So it was really cool to say like, yeah, it was my first year best-selling. I'm excited to see the movie.
Yeah. I might give it a try. Like, cause I've always kind of been like, oh, it's like, I guess when it gets so mainstream, you're like, oh, it's probably not gonna be
Yeah.
that good. But you're like,
Yeah,
I mean, what little you read to me, like, and I was like, oh, that's kind of funny.
it is. It
Yeah.
was really funny, and like I always thought, his books were meant for like the older generation.
Mhm.
And no, I can like this. The main character was a little bit younger than me, so
Mhm.
it was nice to have that. And he, the author himself, was a lawyer,
Mhm.
so he was able to put like. It didn't seem like, oh my gosh, that is so far fetched. Like that does not happen. It actually like feels more realistic.
Yeah. All right, so that moves us on to our next talking point, which I know we say January is about rest, but
Mhm.
do you have any reading resolutions this upcoming year? You don't have to, or
Not really, not for reading. Besides reading more
mhm.
and getting off of my phone, or like if I am on my phone, I want to be like at least reading something, not
Mhm.
just like on Instagram and all that. I think that is actually what I have said, planned a few days ago, was that I would like to read more.
Mhm.
And I think working on this podcast is helping me with that because we are reading a book every month.
Mhm. And I try to like make them diverse, or like,
Mhm.
because I personally want to read like more authors of different cultures and of color and nonfiction and things like, because I fall into the trap of I tend to read a lot of like adult fantasy or some
Yeah.
sci-fi. Like if I was left to my own devices, like I don't know how often I'd branch out.
Yeah.
But like I don't know if I would have picked this up if I hadn't put, let's read a Palestinian,
yeah, I
or
wanna
sorry, let's read a
bestseller.
bestseller. Yeah, next month is Ukraine. That's what I was thinking.
Mm.
But for February's theme, which was the anniversary date of the Russo-Ukrainian war going on, is why I picked that one, because we've done Black History Month before, and those are good reads, and it's something we can go back to like the next year or something, like every other year, like obviously not highlight those things, but there's other things that go on in February and other things to kind of look for
Yeah.
or learn about. So yeah, I've picked out my book, and I think you picked out yours if you can get it through ILL. And
Hopefully. I have two choices, so if one can't come, hopefully the other one can.
I think I got the same book. I just got it one on audiobook format and then the other one physical, and whichever one gets there first, I'll read it. But yeah, I'm glad the podcast helps with your resolutions.
Yeah, it does, because it helps. Like, I don't think I ever would have picked this book if it wasn't for the podcast. So it was like nice, like, to branch out and see what else is out there instead of having the same thing over. Which I love the fantasy perspective. I do. Still love it to this day, but it's just nice to have like something new.
Yeah. Oh, I saw that, I don't know when it's coming out, but or if it's already out, but I saw that 100 Years of Solitude, which is a book I reviewed a few podcasts back, is getting a television show. I think maybe on Prime or something. And I was like, I don't know if I could do that. Because, like, yeah, the book was interesting, but it wasn't like I had a great time with it. I mean, it'd be interesting to see it play out on a screen, but I don't know if I want to. But that's something, if you're like, oh, that book sounds a little weird, but you don't want to read it, maybe try watching the movie or the show. I can't remember if it's a show. I think it's a show. But I saw that the other day, and I was like, I know that book. I read that. I have opinions on that.
Yes.
But yeah. See, my reading resolutions. I did read quite a few books, like, off my personal bookshelf. I did not get finished, though. So I think that's going to be another year of trying to get that done. I've got, like, some old sci-fi on there and some books people have given me that I just haven't gotten around to. Plus, Christmas books that we've got. Like, I need to get those read. So yeah, I'll do another year of trying to clear off all the, like, I don't have a lot. Like, I did read through, but I didn't finish reading through, and I bought more books. And so I'm not gonna put myself on a book ban necessarily. I'm just gonna try to focus on what I own already. And I want to reread a lot of the books on my shelf. I've been in the mood for, like, I was like, oh, that was such a good book, I should reread that. So yeah, like this, like, in 2024, I don't think I really bought that many books, which was kind of nice. If I did, it was manga, and that was just because it's an ongoing of a series that I'm reading that we don't have at the library. So those are, like, maybe $10 to $15 at the most. And then but yeah, I don't think I bought too many books. Now I am looking forward to a couple books coming out.
Yeah.
The Happy Writer podcast book is coming out, or it's called The Happy Writer, but it's based off the Happy Writer podcast. That comes out this month. And then Maggie Stiefvater's first adult fiction book is coming out on my birthday. On my birthday.
On your birthday.
Yeah. So I'll probably pre-order it, but because she does, like, signings through a specific bookstore, and I'm like, I want the signed one, but I do almost want to go pick it up in store, like, the day of my birthday. But no, I'll probably just pre-order it and live with it. But that's coming out, and then the graphic novel version of the first volume of the Raven Boys. They did a graphic novel adaptation. The first volume's coming out in, I think, August. So nice. I think those are, like, my main ones that I'm looking forward to. And Emily Wilde's Compendium of Other Worlds. It's the third book in the Emily Wilde series, and that one was fun. I usually listen to that as an audiobook, though, through the library. Support your local library.
Support your library. See, that's because I have a very small bookshelf, and it's already full. It's mainly my husband's book, so I can't go out and buy more because we have no place for it.
You can.
I have no place.
You can get another bookshelf.
Another where? We just moved, and there's no place. Like, I can't.
Stack it on top of the other one.
So it's really nice coming here and, like, having choices and saving money. But it doesn't help that we have a bookstore. So I have to ignore the bookstore.
Yeah.
And be like, oh, no, that's not true. I did buy one book. I bought a cookbook. I bought 2 cookbooks. One's a honey cookbook for me, all about, like, honey things, and the other one was, like, a Mediterranean book for my husband.
Yeah.
So I did buy 2 cookbooks. So there's that.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, for 2025, you need to buy another bookshelf. Because that's what I did at home. Like, I got those cube shelves from Walmart.
Oh, yeah.
And I set another one on top of it, and it's anchored, so it's, like, a really tall bookshelf.
I've already decorated my wall. You should see it. I have, like, flowers and dandelions and
But you
vines
can't
all over the
read
place.
those, Dad.
But it looks pretty.
Anyway, so thank you again for passing another year around the sun with us. If you listen to us, we appreciate it. Whether it's on YouTube or Spotify or wherever you get your local podcasts.
Yes. Can I ask something
No.
of the audience?
Yeah, you can, but
Okay. If you're watching this on YouTube, you should leave a comment of what your reading resolutions are. Since we told you ours, I want to hear from yours.
yeah. We'll see. I don't think I think we've gotten one comment one time, and
One comment, I'll take it.
and it was my friend, because I told her about, like, I was like, oh yeah, I watched it. I think she, like, left a comment, or, like, it was just something like, I like this, or But that was, I think, the only comment we've ever had that I've noticed.
No, it doesn't hurt to ask. If anyone's out there, I want to know what your reading resolutions are. I would love to hear from you.
Yeah, or if you're listening and you're don't really want to mention on social media, you can come up to me or Deb at work.
Yeah, that's true. You can come see us and tell us in person.
Yeah, Deb's
that'd be really fun.
Yeah, Deb's at the circulation desk, and I'm in the back, but in the after school, I'm walking around the building.
In other words, she likes to hide from people, and then she bodyguards the building around 3 from the kids.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, thank you guys again.
Thank you.